Alright, hey guys, welcome to part 9 of my ActionScript 3 platformer tutorial. So, in the last tutorial I started talking about particle physics, and this time I want to add a little bit onto that because I didn't quite finish in the amount of time that I had. So I added a lot of variables to our makeParticles function. We've still got the number, the x and y position, and the speed. I've added something called the variance, and if you look down here where we had just numbers here, now we have a variable, so now you can change how far spread you want the particles to be. Grav, meaning we're going to influence what the gravity of our particle is, so it's not always just in the same direction, because we're going to have multiple different kinds of particles, and that actually goes into the particle class. Color, we can change the color. It's not always going to be yellow anymore. If you look up here, I've actually got 3 different instances of this function, and in each one I've got a different color. This is red, this is orange, this is yellow. And then we have size for the size of the particles, and we go 10, 5, 2. We want the red ones to be the biggest, so we're going to have like a circle kind of this explosion with 3 different colors. And then finally we have the time, and in here I have it set to 10 because if you want to have a function where at the end of it you have a variable that you don't always have to define, you can just throw an equal sign in there and then have what you want it to be if it's not defined as anything. So if you look up here, these are for the size. There's nothing in here for the time. So it just assumes it's going to be 10, and then it plugs that into the particle function. And then we've got the r speed stays the same from last time. And now if you look in here, we've got more variables now. We've got time max, we've got the color and the time, of course, and the gravity. You can just go ahead, look at this, copy this down into your file. I've changed the some of this stuff a little bit. I've now got the alpha and the timer working at the same time, and we've got y speed with gravity, and then x speed. So go ahead, copy that down, and then I've got these 3 instances of this particle function. You can copy those down. Go ahead, pause the video if you don't have them already. And then we've got down here in the enemy, I've added 2 more instances of the function. I have one for when the enemy gets shot. We're going to have red blood come up. As you can see, the gravity is, or the y speed is -15, so that means it's going to shoot up, and then it's got 1.5 for gravity. It's going to come back down pretty quick. So here's all of those values, and then we also have one for when the enemy dies, and that's more particles that go higher and take longer to go away. So those are really the only things that I've changed. You can go ahead and copy those down. I feel like I explained the particles enough in the last one, so I don't need to get into these again. But I finally found settings that I think look good. As you can see, we've got a nice explosion around our player when we shoot. And now if we hit an enemy, blood comes up. And then the big one for the end. I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. So yeah, that's just the tail end of the particles from last time, and hopefully you can even add more if you're feeling ambitious and want to have your own unique particle effects. You can put them anywhere with that function, and it's just really up to you. So the next thing I want to do is actually get more towards platformery type elements of a platformer, because we've done a lot with shooting, and that's not really what a typical platformer has. So what we're going to add now is keys and doors. So you're going to go ahead and come on over here, make a new class, I'll call it key. Of course it's going to be a movie clip. For the graphics on this one, we're definitely going to make it orange-ish. FFCC 99. Well, let's make it a circle for now. We'll add better graphics later. 15 for the radius. Okay, so now in our main, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another number into our map. We're going to add, let's say we'll put a 4 right here. And now in here we go and we say if map ij equals 4, var key equals new key key.x. We can copy this. I don't really think we're going to need a key array quite yet. But now we run this and now we've got our nice little key here. That's a weird color. I messed up on that. Let's just go FFDD00. That's better. So now we're going to need a door as well. Forgot to extend. We can give this one a... I'm not that good at hexadecimal. Let's give it a darker color. Let's go like 663300. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to give us. And then we can put a 5 somewhere else, put it right here on top of this block, and basically just copy this again. Door. Alright, so both the key and the door actually ended up in front of the player as far as depth, because the player gets put way at the beginning. So what I want to do right now, at the end of this whole definer thing, we're going to say set child index, and what this does is this just takes any movie clip that we have and we give it the index of 0, or no, num children minus 1. And this is actually going to be on the camera, so it's cam.setChildIndex, and then it's cam.numChildren minus 1. If you don't do it like that, it's going to be messed up. It's going to use the stage values instead of the camera values. So now the player is actually in front of everything else, which is good because you don't want a door that's supposed to be behind the character to randomly just be in front of the character. So now we got to add a little bit of stuff for when the character actually uses the key in the door. So we're going to actually go ahead and make a key and door array just so we have something to put them in. So now down in our sea of for loops, we're going to add 2 more. You don't really have to keep changing this letter. You can leave it the same. It's just you'll get warnings if you keep defining it as a var, but you could actually just say d equals 0. I don't know why I'm even making all of these different variables. I'm just force a habit. Okay. So we've got our key here. We're going to add a function. And what we can actually do is we can go over to the block. And, no, not the block, the coin. And we can take this function and just throw it in and say if keys, I did put that in the key, right? Yeah. Keys w dot check obj char cam dot remove child keys w keys dot splice w1 and keys plus plus, or key count plus plus. We're going to need to make another variable up here, put it in with score key count. I'm going to do a system kind of like The Legend of Zelda, where you just get a key and it can open any door. It's not like there's a certain key that opens a certain door. Okay, so then we're going to also have, we're going to need a button to open a door. So we can say in our key down here, if e.keycode equals, let's say, I'm going to make it spacebar. Oh, spacebar is 32. Yeah, I remember that now. And then we can just have something like what we have for A and D. Space down equals false. Space down equals true. Scroll way the heck back up here. In with our other booleans. Space down. And then we're going to throw our door check obj in as well. We can just copy this right over. And then in our for loop for the door, we can just take this, and instead of removing things, we're just going to say, and space down, key count minus minus. Make sure we actually change this keys to doors so we don't have an error. And now if we run this, everything works. Go up here, key goes away. You can't really tell, but hit spacebar and the key will go back down. And I'll touch more on this next time, and I'll see you guys next time.